Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unlocking something pretty awesome: how to seamlessly run Windows right on your existing Mac hardware. I am super excited to walk you through this because, honestly, it completely transforms what your machine can actually do. Let's get right into it.
So picture this. What if you could boot up heavy PC games, run those intensive development tools, or use massive Windows-only software suites right on your Mac, but with absolutely zero performance loss? I know, it kind of sounds like a tech magic trick, right? But it's entirely possible, and frankly, it's surprisingly easy to set up once you know how the process works.
The secret sauce here is Boot Camp Assistant. This is an incredibly powerful tool built straight into your Mac by Apple. It literally lets you run Microsoft Windows right alongside macOS on a totally separate partition. We aren't talking about a clunky workaround here. This is an official, native boot process built from the ground up to give you the absolute maximum hardware performance your computer can pump out.
To keep things moving, here is our quick agenda. We're going to cover 1. Unlocking Windows on Mac. 2. Crucial system requirements. 3. The 3-step installation. 4. Switching operating systems. And finally, 5. Under-the-hood performance.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Unlocking Windows on Mac.
To really get why this is such a game changer, you have to understand that Boot Camp is not an emulator. It physically partitions your hard drive, which gives Windows direct, unhindered access to your hardware. Basically, your Mac becomes a high-end PC. And the really brilliant part? Apple automatically hands over all the essential drivers, so your multi-touch trackpad, your specialized keyboard layout, your graphics card, the whole shebang. It all functions flawlessly right inside the Windows environment.
Moving right along to Section 2, Crucial System Requirements. Okay, so here is the one massive catch, and it's a strict hardware limitation. Boot Camp only works on Intel-based Macs, period. There's no way around it. It is not supported on the newer Apple Silicon machines, so no M1, M2, or M3 chips. But hey, if you are rocking an Intel processor, you've got a massive advantage here to build a total powerhouse of a dual boot machine.
If you've got that Intel Mac, the rest is honestly just checking a few boxes. You just need to make sure your macOS is totally up to date. You're also going to need a Windows ISO file, which you just grab directly from Microsoft, a solid internet connection to download the support software, and of course, plenty of free storage space.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 3-step installation.
I love keeping things simple, so we've boiled this down to a highly digestible 3-step flow. We're going to open the Assistant, carve out your storage space, and then just let the system do the heavy lifting to actually install Windows.
Step 1 is literally as easy as it gets. Just open Finder, jump into your applications, open the Utilities folder, and click on the Boot Camp Assistant app. Boom. You'll see a super clear welcome screen walking you through what's next. Think of this as your command center for the whole installation.
Now Step 2. This is where you actually carve out the digital real estate for your new PC. You get this really intuitive visual slider to instantly divide your hard drive space between your existing macOS and your brand new Windows setup. It's actually pretty satisfying to physically slide that bar and see exactly how your machine is being split up.
Let's talk strategy on that space for a second. Now, 64 gigabytes is the bare minimum the system requires, but honestly, you really want to aim for an ideal partition size of about 100 to 200 gigabytes. You've got to give that new Windows environment some room to breathe, especially if you're planning to install modern games. I mean, some of those take up 100 gigs all on their own.
All right, Step 3. Once you've set your space and picked your ISO file, your Mac is going to automatically restart. And then, suddenly you are dropped straight into the totally standard, familiar Windows installation screen. It is kind of surreal the first time you see that classic PC setup screen pop up on your Mac display.
Now, pay close attention here, because during this setup, there is one step you absolutely cannot miss. When Windows asks you where you want to install it, it is absolutely vital that you select a specific partition, clearly labeled Boot Camp. And then, this is the crucial part, you must click Format before moving on. That preps the drive segment so Windows can properly take root.
Once Windows is finished installing and you boot into your shiny new desktop, the Boot Camp installer takes over in the background. It's a totally seamless process. It adds all those critical Apple-specific drivers we talked about earlier. It ensures your trackpad feels exactly right, your keyboard shortcuts map out correctly, your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth instantly connect, and your GPU is firing on all cylinders. It perfectly bridges that gap between Apple hardware and Windows software.
All right, let's jump to Section 4, Switching Operating Systems. So how do you actually jump between these two worlds? Well, you get an incredible amount of control here. The absolute most direct way is right on the hardware. Just hold down the Option key on your keyboard right when your computer starts up, and you'll get a menu to choose your OS. But both systems also have software toggles built right in. If you're in Windows, just click the little Boot Camp icon in the system tray and hit Restart in macOS. If you're over in macOS, just pop open System Settings, head to Startup Disk, and make your choice. It's brilliantly flexible.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Under the Hood Performance.
Let's pull back the curtain on why this is so much better than the alternatives. With Boot Camp, it's all about direct hardware power. Because Windows is running natively, you get full GPU performance and way better CPU utilization. Now compare that to virtual machines like Parallels or VMware. With those, you're essentially running a computer inside another computer. That creates processing lag, what we call hypervisor overhead, and it can seriously slow down heavy tasks, totally ruining the experience of your gaming or rendering video. Boot Camp just completely strips away that barrier.
Now this is usually a super smooth process, but hey, tech is tech, right? If you ever restart and get a black screen with a no bootable device error, don't panic. All you gotta do is boot back into macOS, rerun the Boot Camp Assistant, and double check that your ISO file isn't corrupted. Honestly, just grabbing a fresh download of the ISO file usually fixes this right up.
At the end of the day, investing just a few minutes into this built-in utility pays off in a massive way. You literally get the absolute best of both macOS and Windows securely housed on a single device. You keep that elegant Mac workflow for your daily stuff, and then, with one quick reboot, you unleash a fully native high-performance Windows PC.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. With your Intel Mac now effectively serving as a top-tier native Windows machine, what incredibly intense piece of software are you going to conquer first? Seriously, whether it's a massive AAA game, some crazy complex 3D modeling software, or specialized corporate tools, the limits are totally gone. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, happy dual booting!